Hi, I'm Ben, and this is my episode recap of Marvel Spider-Man episode Take One and an Ock in a Hard Place. In this episode, Spider-Man is battling Doc Ock and Silver Sable and this female Dr. Octopus and all that. In this episode, well, he's more teaming up with the original Dr. Octopus, Octavius, but in the but see, the episode starts out with him fighting Pelotons. This other guy I don't really know, then late, but then he keeps mentioning like Albert Einstein. It's like Pelot is like they never give up. Albert Einstein, Thomas Edison. Well, actually, Nicholas Tesla invented the light bulb, and they keep like mentioning like Albert Einstein mentioned. Albert Einstein was his. Albert Einstein was he took this long to build the light bulb. He never gave up. But it's like, well, actually, it's been revealed that's Nikola Tesla's invention, not not his, not 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 Thomas Edison. Yeah, I always thought that, and yeah. But then later, Silver Sable is watching him fight Peloton, who's later working for each other. Yeah, Silver Sable's in this. But then I'm still confused. Is she a good guy? Is she an anti-hero? A villain? Meh, meh, meh. But anyways, mm, so then he goes back to school, but then Dr. Octopus came and says like, I came what was mine. You mean revenge, says Max, and then Miles has his robots to attack him, but then Dr. Octopus saves this other person, is like is like I need I need forgiveness. I've been rehabilitated and I'm thinking for forgiveness. And I'm like, no, you tried to destroy me and you were horrible. And he's like, can I at least get my stuff back? I was like, okay. And yeah, that doesn't look right. But then but then later he saves the but then later they were talking about Max. Max is inventing this new invention, and I forget what it's called. But then Silver Sable tries to steal it, and then Alexei Savage as Rhino appears, and he's like I am the Rhino, and he's like the Rhino appears, and it's a Lego figure of Black Widow that I forgot at Walmart, and he's like, we need to save Alexis. Look what Dr. Octopus did, and he's like, well, no, we need to say. And it's like, well, he is trying to be good. It's like we can't trust him after what he did to Alexis. So then he stops the invention, and I mean, so then and he stops by. Max and Peter were talking, I think, about the money thing. Then he's like, I need to give you some. And it's like I'm trying to build this, but then there's this problem with it. And then Dylan mentions some science babble, and then he comes around, and I don't think it's Max Dillon, but then Dr. Octopus comes back with his stuff, and the robot with him, and he's like, maybe if you do this science babble, I can do this science babble. But then, sorry, he got distracted. But then this science babble can do this science babble, and then they're like, wait, maybe your idea was genius. Maybe it could work. And then later, Silver Sable tries to steal the invention thingamabob, and cuts the power. And then M- Miles' robots came, and he's like, something's not right. Open fire. Pew, pew, pew. And yeah, because Miles can build robots, hover robots, apparently. What, are you living in the future? Crazy. And then, and then this role, and then Spider-Man comes, and he's like, I'll stop you, I'll save the day, and then we'll do, uh, and he was like, and one of the characters named Puma and, Pelotons, I know that word from Voltron, but then this happens, and then they all save the day, and well, Spider-Man saves the day and stops and Silver Surfer I think gets away, but then Doctor Octopus is there, and then he's like, I'm gonna, he's like, I'm here, and I'm sorry, but maybe I can help. It's like, I don't know if I could trust you, but then they talked it out, and so, like, because he has every right, because Spider-Man has every right not to trust him because he doesn't want him to know it's Peter and all that, but then they go and say, but then they're like, let's do this and let's do that, and he was like, okay, and then, yeah, and then they save the day, and I'm sorry, I don't have a script for this, so I'm just working my experience. I'm sorry if this isn't doing so well. But then they stop, but then they sort of team up. They go they go to find Silver Sable. He stops them for stealing the thing, the invention that Max made, and then and then saves, and then Dr. Octopus comes and saves the day, and everything is all right, and the invention is stopped, and well, not stealing by the bad guys, and then he takes it to Max, then Dr. Octopus fills around with it, and he's like, this is how we fix it, and and Angela or one of the other girl characters who trust trust Spider doesn't trust Doctor Octopus, like, I don't like this, and Max is like, I know, but let's see this, then he then he turns off, and then he fixes Alexis and turns him from a not Rhino guy and fixes, and he's like, okay, you earned your trust, and in the next episode, in an Ock in a hard place, he's like, well, before it was like, look at it's Jameson on the news report saying, look at this menace, he's stopping he's doing this, and he's getting people hurt, and he's waving people, and this is happening, he's a menace. And he's like, and Peter's like, oh, I don't like where this is. Oh, this is. And Peter gets upset. Then Miles comes and he's like, oh, I don't like this. And he's like, oh, I don't like. And it's like, and Miles is, oh shoot, sorry. And Miles is like, hey, what's wrong? You look like you failed at the worst test scores. Like, and Pierre's like, I did something that it didn't go when as I wanted. And it's like, well, look at the things that did happen. Alexi's fine, the invention is okay, and everything's okay. And then and he's and Peter's like, yeah. And then in the next episode, Peter stops and Peter swings like, I like being Spider-Man. What takes me out of being Peter is Spider-Man. And he's like, and that guy says, Spider-Man, he's a menace. And I was like, well, why do you think that? Well, look at the Bugle. They say he's a menace. Yeah, you really shouldn't trust the news sometimes. They may not have all the information all right. But then, but then he's like, for the most part, but oh yeah, and I forgot. Peter also built a hover camera to record everything of his dialogue, and Eddie Brock was in the next episode. I'm so glad to see Eddie Brock because he wasn't in Ultimate Spider-Man. Like, where's Spider-Man? And I was like, I miss. I hope Eddie Brock appears, and Eddie Brock does appear. And in this episode, Eddie Brock saves the day. I mean, not Eddie Brock. Then Peter Schwing is recording. Eddie Brock is upset about it, and then they show. But then later in the episode, in the next episode, it's this female doctor, Octopus, and they're like, let's stop. It was like, we gotta stop this guy. And it's like I'm here to steal the diamonds. And Spider-Man stops, and then the guard came, and he saves them, and he's like, then, and then Jameson, and then as he shows his recording thing, and he's like, there's no way Jameson can badmouth this. And he's like, and Jameson badmouths this, obviously. He's like, first he whips this guy, and then he whips. First he gets hurt, and then the guards fall down. Who is this menace? Me. And later he's like you gotta stop bad-mouthing Spider-Man. He's a hero. You gotta start telling the truth. It's like the truth. All I see is a menace, and look at Captain America and Iron Man. We know who they are, and we know where they live. And here's the Spider, and this Spider-Man and we don't know who this Spider-Man is. He wears a mask. He's a menace. He's a masked vigilante. And then Peter's like, well, maybe he's protecting his family or something. And Spider-Man and Jameson is like, weak excuse. And Peter is like, yeah, Peter Parker is well, if you won't tell the truth, I won't give you any more footage. And I was like, man. And Jameson's like, whatever. And so later, he tries to stop the police came to Octopus, Otto Octavius. He's like, "Do you know this woman?" And she's like, "Yeah, we shared a cell together, and I didn't know she'll do this." And then later she comes back and she's like, "I have an army of robots. Meet my new friends." At Spider-Man at the docks in a later scene. But then he tries to stops the robots. Then he's like, "Wait, I gotta look for this woman." And I was like, but yeah, there's this scene where uh, uh, it has nothing to do with my review. There's nothing. Anyways, but then there's this scene where but then there's this scene later. It's like a sushi restaurant next to a hardware store. She couldn't be hiding there, and she's hiding there. Yeah, that's a bit silly. But then she's like, "Let's save the day." And it's like that's so silly but then he finds the place he finds that there's people being brain operated well will be mind controlled on a computer or something, and it's revealed it's the original doctor. It's Otto Octavius. He's like, let's I'm using my evil invention to stop the octop to save the to mind control people. And he's like, no, you can't do that. You changed. Yeah, and also there was I wasn't gonna mention this because he thought it had nothing to do with the recap. But anyways, there's this review. There's this part where he's like, is he gonna? Because there's this part where he's teaching and he's being a good person, and there's this other part that's a bit silly where he's like, oh, what is he gonna say? Let's open with hugs. And Doctor Octopus says, let's open with hugs. And he was like, I'm showing my machines, my his robot arms. But then he's like, but yeah, he goes and stuff. But then he go, but then I'm still, I don't know how to feel about Dr. Octopus as a 19-year-old, like a young man. I don't know, I just like him as his original design, like those posters I have of him. But yeah, so anyways, it's revealed he's still evil, and turns out the female Dr. Octopus was working for him and only using her, and then he saves the day, and then Spider-Man tries to stop us, like, don't hurt them, and later he saves the day, the female Dr. Octopus saves the day, and she realizes you don't have to be, and Spider-Man's like, you don't have to be this person, and she takes up the robotic arms, and, and then Dr. Octopus is in a coma, and then Max is like, I never should have trusted him. Well, yeah. And and then he's like, sorry, I'm not really good at this episode recap thing, but then he saves the day. Anya, yeah, that's her name. Anya, Gwen, and Miles are fine, and everything's all right. Well, that's my episode recap of the two Spider-Man episodes. Oh, and Doctor Octopus is in a coma now. So what's gonna happen in the next episode? They just released a new episode, and I might watch that. I might review it tomorrow because it's getting late, but oh well. Or right now. Well, that's my review. That's my episode recap. I hope you may that episode or don't like that episode. The show isn't getting enough love, but I enjoy it for what it is. There's some problems like I don't like Dr. Octopus as a 19-year-old. I like him when he's older. They were mentioning like there's this running joke where it's like Thomas Edison, he's a scientist, and he never gave up on his invention. I was like, okay, we get it. You're a scientist. We all know that. Yeah. So, anyways, and well, that's my review of Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man, and I hope you may have enjoyed that episode, and you might see some new videos.